It's this dual challenge of how do we help create all these applications and then bring all the data together that's inspiring us to build out Power Platform and Dynamics 365 as the world's connected business cloud.
That's one of the strengths Microsoft helps bring to the table. It's not only Azure and Dynamics 365 that really integrate well with our vision, but then the knowledge of how to apply some advanced digital techniques to data and how to utilize those platforms in a very efficient manner.
We believe that customer insights can help us hit better, and we can empower the employees with that knowledge to be even more personal, to have our guests be more pleased when they leave the garden.
Traditionally, mobile software development is pricey and lengthy and requires a very specific set of skills. And through discovering Power Apps and using that, it really helped us feel more confident in our role. And I think it really clicked when I opened it, how much better we could provide customer service to our internal business areas.
And that's why we selected Dynamics 365 to enable our salespeople to better sell. After we implemented the data warehouse and Dynamics 365, we had a 30% year-over-year increase in our season ticket sales, with essentially the same team on the floor.
Every company struggles with training. Products are much more complex, so how do you keep up? We see guides and HoloLens as a great tool to change how adults learn. There's video built in, there's step-by-step instructions that can overlay holographic images, and so when you have in-depth training from an electronic mentor, we believe you'll be up to speed in a compressed time frame.
Data in one system is helping you optimize the outcome of another system. That's what an AI-first company does. That's what an AI-first software product does.
Thank you very much. It's my honor, really, to stand up today to represent the great work that's been done by the team, many of whom are in the audience here, to sort of show off in code and through demos with customer scenarios all the great work that we've done for our 2019 release Wave 2. Just stunning amounts of innovation, brand new products and services, hundreds of new capabilities. But before we get into the details, I want to just maybe set it up and sort of set some context. If you think about our customers and the value we're delivering to them, how we're helping them transform their business, I think Chevron is a perfect example. And one of the things that we're going to talk about today is how data is coming together to really fuel transformation, all the value that one can extract from that. And Chevron is an organization, it's one of the world's largest integrated energy companies. And data is at the center of everything they do, both in breadth and in depth. You think about their operations, they've got downstream, midstream, upstream, where they explore, they produce, they transport, and eventually refine all of this information. The ability to connect the dots across the entirety of the business, left to right, allows them to optimize their operations by taking one piece of data from one part of the process and joining that with a piece further downstream. From a depth perspective, you think about seismic exploration or weather pattern exploration when you're laying out a wind farm. This produces terabytes of data in a single day. And the ability to harness all of that and to reason over it is part and parcel of the business that they're in. And so if you look at the solution they've developed, leveraging Dynamics and the Power Platform and Azure, they selected Azure because it provides global planet-scale exabyte-class storage to capture all of this information, but they know it's part of a broader platform. The Power Platform allows them to wring value from that data. I think so they've got 600 Power Apps in production in less than a year. They're putting 2 Power Apps in production every single day, 10,000 monthly active users across the organization. And I think the most impactful application that they've built is one that takes all of this data and allows them in their exploration and production operations to go from an 18-month cycle from exploration to production on a new drilling operation to 6 weeks. 6 weeks using a Power App that they've created. Now it leverages capabilities in Azure and it really pulls the whole stack through, but massive, massive impact. I think even more impactful than that, the same Power App allows them in an active drilling situation when they encounter something that was unexpected. They used to have to recalc. It would take 24 hours. People were standing around waiting for the recalc. They can do it almost instantaneously now. And so huge impact from and with Dynamics 365, they're leveraging Teams, Dynamics 365 Field Service, Dynamics 365 Remote Assist, and they've realized their dream of having any expert from anywhere in the world to any other place in the world virtually in 5 minutes or less. So if there's an issue on an oil rig out in the Gulf of Mexico, they can take someone in Houston and virtually put them there, where they can be there with that remote worker. They can mark up the environment. Just a game changer, a game changer. But it's not just the world's largest multinationals that are benefiting from these technologies. Magens is a family-owned snack food company. It's the largest one in Australia, family-owned. Produce lots of very tasty treats that I get to sample when I visit my favorite location, Australia, New Zealand. But they have transformed the way they make snack foods. And there's no one better to talk about how they've done it than Magens. We've got a video, so why don't we go ahead and roll that?
We get out of bed every day to make snack magic. The experience that the consumer has to be supreme, and you have to deliver it consistently. Dynamics 365 gives us confidence that we can make great choices, great decisions in creating an amazing product.
Because the minute you have that one-off experience of the salt is a little bit low or the spice is a bit too high or low, it's a competitive environment. You'll just choose another product.
If there's too much moisture, it can make it a bad experience. If there's not enough, it'll go stale and dry out. So just getting it right is quite scientific and needs to be exact. At Magens, we've really tried to take away the human testing and look to IoT intelligence to do that more consistently and more accurately. We have a system now that can look into the product in real time, which helps us control how big the problem is or understand where it started. People feel so empowered if they can fix the problem themselves. Giving them the data quickly helps them actually fix problems before they become bigger problems. The real benefit of IoT intelligence is being able to get the best person in your organisation to address the issue that needs to be addressed. If you give good people the right information at the right time, they can do incredible things. The industry has always been about efficiency. Time is money. It's not just about producing whatever you produce faster. It's about how information flows through your whole business faster that will really give you competitive advantage.
We're a simple business. We make stuff and we sell stuff, but everything in between is so important to get right.
A lot of times when people eat our snack, they tell us that, oh, you take us in this little journey, you know? It's great, we love it. And that's the type of emotion we want to get with a customer. Dynamics 365 allows you to create that journey over and over again.
Absolutely love that story. So let's sort of take that and think about how business applications play a role here and how they've changed. You know, remote assist, putting someone anywhere on the planet in 5 minutes or less, connected manufacturing, terabytes of data, changing drilling times, right? I mean, this is not your grandfather's business application domain. In fact, it's probably not even your older brother's or sister's application domain. Things have changed fundamentally. And if you look back, you sort of go back to 1970, 1990, 2010, and look at business applications over the years, they've been fundamentally unchanged. You know, this is a call center. It's actually a TWA airline reservation center in 1970. If you were to go stand in there and look at that screen that you know, reservation agent was looking at, and pick them up and move them to 1990, pick them up, move them to 2010, they would see more difference in hairstyles and clothing than they would in the applications. In 1970, it's, you know, green screen or amber running on a mainframe. In 1990, it's probably in a fat client on Windows, maybe with a, you know, a server on the back end. And 2010, it's a SaaS application running in a browser, but it's forms over data. Glorified record-keeping systems, by and large, across both CRM and ERP. And the reality of that class of application is that they were, in fact, largely glorified record-keeping systems and very reactive. You think about a field service or a customer service environment where you've sold someone an asset that they're dependent on. Imagines, for example, using an asset to make snack goods. It breaks. They need help. They pick up the phone, they call the manufacturer, and the manufacturer picks up the phone in a support or service center. They start typing into an application what they hear from the customer, and they can roll in a very reactive way someone to go help and maintain and get the production line back up and running. Very, very reactive. But that's all we've ever had. There really was no other way. But something is fundamentally changing, and the fundamental change is that data is coming out of everything, and it's coming first. It's coming out of every operating room, retail environment. Every time someone lands a jet on a runway at Heathrow, it uploads information from the jet engine. I mean, everything is producing data. And this data-first reality allows us to go from this very reactive model of business to a proactive model. It literally flips the script. It's not open an app, type stuff in, report. It's collect data, reason over it, predict, proact. Complete reversal. And in order to do that, you need a completely different class of business application. Now, if you look across the business environment functionally, data's flowing from everything, from your customers, from your assets, from your people. Every time someone updates their LinkedIn profile, has a Teams meeting, every time a customer comes to your website, uses an application, uses one of your connected products, every time an asset in a manufacturing facility produces a product, all of these sort of parts of your business are producing data. If you can harness that data, rationalize it, harmonize it, reason over it collectively, you're in a position now to understand your customers, your products, the performance of your assets, and you can use that point of view to go intelligently engage, proactively through understanding. That, of course, produces even more data that leads to clearer understanding, and it plays out across the entirety of the business. We call this a digital feedback loop, and it represents this opportunity in sort of a very compact way. Data flowing from everything, capture it, harmonize, reason, intelligently act. And this vision on this emergent reality that data is coming out of everything has driven everything that we've built. And so let's look at what's required in order to go take advantage of this opportunity. I never, ever talk about Dynamics 365 or the Power Platform in a vacuum. It's always part of a larger Microsoft story because that's what really sets us apart. You think about the story we told with Magins or Chevron. It starts with data. The ability to capture information, to harmonize it, to reason over it collectively is at the base of everything that we're doing. Exabyte class storage capability and the world's largest public cloud. More regions in Azure than Google and AWS combined. So this footprint that we've created, planet scale, allows us to bring all of this signal together. And then, of course, you've got to reason over it. Decades of primary research at MSR, hardened at scale across Bing, Xbox Live, Office 365, MSN, creates an intelligence layer that allows us to take that data and turn it into insights. And the application platform in Azure takes that intelligence, turns it into intelligent action. On top of that, we've built the Power Platform. The world doesn't have as many programmers and data scientists and technologists that we all need. And so the Power Platform allows even non-professional technologists to connect with data, build applications, automate business processes. On top of that, we built Office 365, Dynamics 365, sister services, families, that integrate with one another and provide the industry's only comprehensive left-to-right collection of business applications, both unstructured and structured. Communicate, collaborate, create with Office. Marketing, sales, service, operations, finance, and talent, automation with Dynamics 365, but built to work together. And then on top of that, tens of thousands of ISVs have built applications for specific industries or geographies available in AppSource built on this platform. Now, the important thing is all of this stuff was built to work together. When you start with Dynamics 365, it stores your data in a place and in a form that Azure understands, that the Power Platform understands, that Office 365 understands. This organic creation of a unified, holistic platform centered on data, powered by intelligence, is what we've provided. And so with that context, We're going to spend the next hour in 15 minutes or so talking about all the innovation that we've delivered yet again. We're doing this every 6 months. In the last 6 months, we've created over 400 new capabilities in Dynamics 365. We've introduced multiple new products and services, and we're just continuing to sort of turn the crank and to innovate, guided by this vision that we just talked about, enabled through this collection of assets that we think is unique to Microsoft and has really, really made an impact for our customers. And so the first area we're going to look at is our customer data platform, CDP. So this is an area that I would argue is perhaps the most important data of all. Truly understanding your customer from every point of view, how they're using your products and services, harmonizing that information. And to show you in more detail, I'm going to have Satish and Lydia come up, talk about these capabilities, and to demo the products. Satish?
Thank you, James. So today, what I want to talk about was, today customer data is coming from a lot of places and from a myriad of sources. And typically, once a product is sold, how those products and services are used is not very well known by the company. Now, imagine a world where you can actually bring together all of this customer data, including real-time product usage data, be able to harmonize it, do AI, derive intelligent insights on top of it for you to be able to deliver exceptional personalized experiences. That's exactly what we've set out to build and make real for our customers. So today, I'm super excited to share more about Microsoft's customer data platform and the product and services that make up and help you build that 360 view of the customer like no other company can. Now, at the tip of the spear is Dynamics 365 Customer Insights and Product Insights. And together, these products are designed to give you a holistic understanding of your individual customers, how your customers are interacting with your products and services, so that you can derive intelligent segments on top of it and drive action. Now, all of this is very differentiated because of the fact that it's built on top of Microsoft's depth of data processing, breadth of data connectors that allow you to bring in all of that data, unify it at scale, enrich it with Microsoft proprietary signals, and provides the ingredients for you to be able to go deliver those personalized experiences and transform your products, be it in Dynamics 365, through the Power Platform, or any other third-party application that your business users that may be using. So with that, I want to actually show you an example of how this comes to life in terms of a data-first comprehensive view of your customer. So in this point, I want to talk about three things. The first thing is, as you can see here, it shows the customer information that was previously in siloed sources. In addition to that, we also enrich that customer profile at an aggregated level with specific information from the Microsoft Graph. So that includes things like brand affinity and interests about that customer and people like that customer. Now, this part is only possible by one or two companies on planet Earth. And on top of that, we're also able to show you how the customer interacts with your product and services. And together, this gives you the most comprehensive view of a customer with which you can go move your business forward, be it to drive upsell, reduce churn, or drive loyalty up. So everything that I showed you here is possible when your customer is an individual, but that's not all. As part of this release, we're also enabling our B2B scenarios, which allows you to do exactly the same and more if your customer is a business. Now, to show you that in action and a customer that's actually using that functionality today, let's roll the video for American Electric Power.
Well, AP Energy is an energy solutions company. We have over 400,000 customer accounts stretching everywhere from residential to small business to commercial industrial.
As our suite of services expands, we don't really have the tools in place right now to match emerging technologies to kind of emerging customer segments. We've got a lot of customers, we've got a lot of data, we've got a lot of data about our customers.
We not only have that data from accounts, opportunities, contacts, but we also have legacy ERP information that we want to utilize. And so that could be anything from contract information to pre-CRM information as well. Life before Customer Insights, we had a lot of manual processes, and so a salesperson would have to have multiple systems, piece them together to actually get the full picture of a customer. Using Customer Insights, we can actually migrate that big group of data into our Dynamics 365 platform and see that we went from having all these duplicate accounts to now we have one profile for each specific account. If we're competing with another supplier, we have information that can help us actually provide maybe a better or similar product or service that might just give us the edge for what that customer needs.
If you boil energy down to its simplest form, we're selling electrons. So it's more about how do we engage with customers around that sale of electrons.
The Microsoft platform as a whole can actually help us make sure that those salespeople that need to make split-second decisions have the right information at their fingertips.
Customer Insights will help us both with the customers we have today and satisfying them better in our metrics and objectives around the customer experience, but also help us identify gaps in our products and services or segments that we haven't been able to serve.
For our customer service team, when somebody calls in, we can provide them with the information they need, or if they're a potential new customer, we can provide that consultative service where we can ask them the right questions and then provide them with a better product.
The promise of Customer Insights is that it can make from the very front end to the back end more efficient and more focused.
And it'll help us get more customers, keep the customers we have, and have them more satisfied.
Great. Cool. So with that, I'm actually going to show you exactly what AEP was able to do in the demo right in the product. So, perfect. So what you're seeing here is Dynamics 365 Customer Insights. And I'm going to walk through three key personas. The first one is the data analyst at AEP that basically brings in all of this data, unifies it. And then the business analyst who's able to take that unified profiles, segment on top of it, discover, create new segments, and finally the business user who's able to take this data, consume it in their business process. So in this scenario, as we saw there, the piece was to bring together data from a bunch of myriad of sources. In this case, they had data sitting in Dynamics, a custom system that contained enrollment lists, opportunities, and survey data. So business is always growing. So it's not just the data that they already brought in. You can actually bring in new data. And this is where the rich set of connectors come in. So you'll notice that we have connectors for obviously from various databases, Salesforce, SAP, etc. So the whole goal is you can bring data, customer data together from wherever it might be sitting. And that is key. The next thing obviously is once you've brought in all of the data, how do you basically unify the data? So the first thing that comes to mind is how do you map the data? So this is where you're able to basically bring all of that previously siloed data, and we're able to detect automatically what type of data is contained in there. So things like name, address, first name, last name. So this is a lot of Microsoft research work that we've productized right here. So this used to be a very, very time-consuming activity before. And in this case, usually you can just default your way through. The next thing that happens is obviously the matching capability. So this is where, it's all about creating keys where keys don't exist. It's coming from various systems. So here we give you an ability to basically, with a configuration type experience, you can tie it together and guide the system in terms of, hey, how do I map the telephones? Do you want an exact match or do you want a medium precision match? So the goal here is depending on your use case, be it finance or marketing, you might choose to go to different sides of the precision scale here. Again, a very configurable experience, no need for system integrators and a lot of custom jobs. It is just very configurable and out of the box here. The next thing is obviously the merge pieces, which I won't go into detail here, but essentially, every time your data changes, it comes in, the unification runs, and it makes it available in an Azure data lake, which is there securely, where you can actually access it through our connectors or through our Power Platform connectors and APIs as well. So now I'm actually going to walk into, assume the data is actually, looks like there's a log up. So essentially assume that we've got all of this data now unified. I'm able to segment all of this data. So what this means is on top of that, or previously siloed data, I'm able to build a segment and basically detect who are the customers that I have today from all these various sources that have a high propensity to buy these green services, as you saw in the video. So in this case, I'm building a segment of customers that might be interested and not currently using peak advisory, power perks, demand management, customized and personalized energy segments. So what you're able to do is you're able to take that segment and bring it out into Power BI. So this is where I never talk about customer insights or product insights without the Power Platform integration. So here, what you're looking at is how AEP was able to take everything in customer insights and build a powerful Power BI report on top of it so that they can analyze it, slice and dice it, figure out what the key influences are, and more importantly, in this scenario, detect which are the customers that have highest propensity to buy their green services. So here you can see, you have the lifetime value, churn score. I'm able to, figure out who are my top potential customers for this service. And then finally, I'm going to switch into a salesperson scenario. So this is that individual that actually goes into a company, which is typically their customer or prospect, and basically tries to sell this to them, or at least propose it to them. And this is where you'll notice that they've done this with a Power App. So in this case, Microsoft Store is actually a customer for AEP. It's a business customer for AEP. But more importantly, that salesperson is able to see a full 360 view of the customer in this Power App that was built on top of that customer insights data. So you've got the address here. You've got that activity that's coming in from various sources, not just one sources, all tied together by customer insights. You can see some KPIs. And more importantly, you can see some AI that was done on top of that unified view. So this is the next best action that is being recommended to the salesperson as they're interacting with that customer at the customer site. So with all of that, you're able to see how you're able to bring in customer data from all your sources, unify it, do segmentation on top of it, and take that segment output to be able to drive business processes, be it through the Power Platform, Power BI for deeper analysis, Power Apps for building custom applications, or even Microsoft Flow for building customer journey orchestration. So with that, I'm going to hand off to Lydia to talk about the second key piece of this customer data platform, which is product insights and how you can enrich this customer profile with how your customers are interacting with your products and services. Take it away, Lydia.
Historically, whenever customers purchase a product, their interaction with the company they buy from ends the moment they walk out the door. We don't understand why or how they're using it, and oftentimes the only interaction comes when something has gone wrong. As James mentioned, today we're able to capture data from these millions of devices. However, the sheer quantity of the data is too large for a human to be able to analyze, meaning we cannot deliver personalized, actionable insights for our customers. At Microsoft, we're transforming that experience using product insights. For the first time ever, we are able to be with our customers where they are actually using the products. We can understand who the customer is, how they are specifically using the products by consuming product usage data, and we can then unlock this data and produce those actionable insights. Product Insights is the commercialization of something we've built and been using in Microsoft for years. It's a high-scale system that's very mature. 25 million peak transactions per second, analyzing the use of over 2 billion connected devices. This is an at-scale service that's allowed Microsoft to understand how our customers are using our products and services across Xbox Live, Office 365, Bing, Dynamics 365, and we're now offering this to our customers. Let's look at this from the perspective of Ecolab. Ecolab are a global organization who produce a vast quantity of water, hygiene, and energy products for businesses. Ecolab wants to be the world leader in eco-friendly devices, and a key element of this is an excellent customer experience. Product Insights is taking data from thousands of products that customers are using in the field, for example, large quantities of dishwashers in commercial restaurants, and turning it into actionable insights. As a product manager for Ecolab, I start to interact with Product Insights. Let's take a look. The sheer quantity of data available means I don't know which area of the business to focus on. Product Insights has consumed product usage data from all of the devices and is now directing me to the anomalies that fall outside of how we expect our products to be used by the customers. We can see on screen here that Smart Advisor has highlighted that for some reason, you see here over here, when our business customers are using the normal dishwasher cycle in commercial restaurants, they're actually using more water than the heavy cycle. This pattern makes no sense, and I want to understand why. For the first time, I'm being provided with the unlocked insights I need to understand who my customer is. Before using Product Insights, we would only know who had purchased the device, but now these analytics can show me where my customers are based, as well as giving me a complete 360 view of the products they're using, and crucially, how they're using them. For this anomaly, I want to dive in one level further and get to the specific feature we're focusing on: water usage and drainage. An anomaly occurring doesn't necessarily mean there's a problem with the product. It might be related to the way our customers are using it. Here we can see an aggregated view of all of my customers, but I want to go deeper and identify real customers experiencing this. Product Insights has intelligently identified the particular customer who has faced this issue. I'm able to see detailed metrics. We can see who the customer is, when they're using the dishwasher, and when the issues are occurring. In our first scenario, the issue is being caused due to the way the customer is using the dishwasher. Equipped with this knowledge, our team can now proactively notify the customer of this challenge and educate them about how they can improve their usage. For the commercial customers we have at Ecolab, this is crucial to enable them to continue to work effectively day in and day out. As a customer, they're receiving a proactive, personalized service that results in an improved experience with their washer, will enable them to continue to run their washers effectively, save money on excess water usage, and avoid future problems. In the second scenario, this anomaly could be related to a fault with the dishwasher that over time will result with a fault with the machine. Historically, we would behave very reactively, and we wouldn't know about this problem until the customer has actually faced some pain and has to call us to tell us they're an issue and request a repair visit. Using Product Insights, we're able to change this experience and start to behave proactively. Product Insights works seamlessly with Dynamics 365 Field Service and automatically produces a case for our engineers. Real-time customer-specific insights are presented to the engineers directly within Field Service, and the engineers can then use this information to determine a proactive best path of action. Our engineers are able to successfully deliver a highly personalized experience for our customer, as well as avoiding any problems with the dishwasher, driving increased loyalty to our products. Furthermore, when we're out doing the field service call, based on a clear understanding of their usage and the ability to compare to how similar customers are using our products and services, they can now suggest additional products that the customer could benefit from. So what's the end result for Ecolab? Because they now have this deep insight into the actual usage of their products and services, as well as a deep understanding of their customers, they can move from selling dishwashers to selling clear dishes as a service. They can pivot their entire business model. Today, we've seen how using Product Insights, for the first time, we've been able to proactively detect an anomaly and then work to resolve this challenge before it affects the customer, transforming their experience with our products. What's crucial to highlight is that it's the combination of customer insights and product insights together that gives businesses a deeper understanding of who their customer is and exactly how they're using their devices, enabling them to transform the experience their customer has from the day they purchase one of their products. Thanks very much. I'll now hand over to Linda.
Thank you, Lydia. Brands are currently faced with a challenge. We as consumers have an expectation from companies that they know who we are and they know how to interact with us and when to interact with us. Over a third of customers who have interacted with a brand and had a bad experience will never do business with that company ever again, which is why it's more important than ever for companies to get this right. Consumers will do their research on products, they will get offers on those products, buy them, and then expect exceptional customer service. Dynamics 365 is able to help this problem with a common data service at the heart of all of our customer engagement applications. So across marketing, sales, and customer service, we're able to give a consistent view of that customer because it's all on the same platform. I'm going to walk you through what we would call the customer journey today. So from when a customer is engaging with a marketing campaign or when they buy that product and then they expect that customer service, we're able to take the data and create proactive next best actions so that you can serve your customer the best that you can. We worked closely with customers on building out the right kind of capabilities to build rich content in emails and also being able to test that content to make sure that you're getting the right message across to your customer. Actum Digital is a customer that we worked very closely with. Actum Digital helps their customers go through their digital transformation journey. Many companies who go through digital transformation do it in stages. But thanks to Dynamics 365 Marketing, Actum Digital was able to increase their customer interactions with engagements through events and automation. So let's take a look at Dynamics 365 Marketing in more detail. Before I go into Dynamics 365 Marketing, I do want to show you that we are in Customer Insights. And we already have built some segments on what those customers are that we want to invite to an event. You can see that I have a Retail Digital Transformation Summit segment already created. Now, if I go over to Dynamics 365 Marketing, here it is. I can show you that this is the same exact segment that we had built in Customer Insights. And we can take a look at all of those customers that got fed over into Dynamics 365 Marketing. Back in this journey, we can see that there was an email that was created. We can take a look at this email in more detail. And here we have a rich content editor where I can edit in line. We also have slugs for pulling in the information from the customer. You can also see that there's something over here with version A and version B. This is A/B testing, and it gives me the ability to test out different versions of the subject. So you can see that maybe one subject will be more powerful in helping our customers want to click on that email and open it. And taking a closer look at how that would work is whichever I have set up here, whichever message reaches 10% threshold first will take over for that campaign. And that will be the winner that goes through the rest of the emails sent. Another important thing that I'd like to point out is that we can use sales as a channel as well. So let's say that our customer did not open the email. We can send a person to go and talk to that customer and reach out. So we can treat sales as if they're an additional channel for reaching out to customers. Speaking of sales, let's take a look at the next step in that customer journey where we are actually engaging with customers face-to-face. So when we think about the Wave 2 and what's really important in the sales application is that we are bringing guided selling to the application. So listening to the signals that are coming from that data, we're able to bring guided intelligent selling to the sales rep. And this is all done with our Assistant Studio. And even better, we can bring that to our mobile device, which I will show you, that the rep can take on the go, so they're always prepared with the next best insights. We worked closely with Sandvik, who is a high-tech global engineering organization that builds manufacturing tools, and Sandvik has sales reps who are visiting their customers face-to-face on a regular basis. Sandvik and Microsoft Dynamics built an app that helps the sales rep on the go be able to talk to their customers with relevant content. So let's go over to my mobile device and I'll show you what this looks like. So here I am in my mobile app, and at the beginning of the day I like to see what kind of meetings that I have and who I should be talking to. And we can see that here are all of the meetings being pulled through, but we also have some really great content here with the account from Dynamics linked into this meeting. I have my account, Van Arsdale, and I also have my contact, Nancy Anderson. And if I drill into this meeting, what's really powerful here is I have all of the relevant information right at my fingertips. I can see who this customer is. And then also at the bottom, we have related insights. So I know that this opportunity is at risk and the close date is coming up. So when I meet with this customer, I know that this is important information. We also can bubble up other insights, which you can see on the homepage here to really help that seller be the most effective that they can be that day. Another great feature that we have in this release is the ability to scan a note. When I was meeting with my customer, I took some notes on paper. I love paper, and I like to take my notes with pen and paper. And often I don't have that tied to my application, so I lose the context the next time I'm meeting with my customer. But now with this next release, we're able to scan notes from the mobile device, and now it's processing through Azure Cognitive Services, recognizing the text. This will be available in multiple languages, and it recognizes all of the information and processes it as an OCR, and allows me to upload this note to the meeting, which then I can use. As you can see, it did it perfectly, and I can suggest these updates if I wanted to edit. So this is a really great feature, but what I want to show you is how these insights were created. So going over to the desktop, I want to talk a little bit about the Assistant Studio. The Assistant Studio is a really powerful tool that sales operations users can use to create cards for these insights to appear not only on web, but also, as you saw, on mobile. And here we can see as I mouse over these cards, I get a preview of exactly how the sales rep is going to see this card. If I click on this, it gives me the ability to configure the card, and also I can set it up so only certain sales reps can see the card. So I've got multiple teams, I can configure this at a very granular level. And the other really great thing is we built all of this on top of Flow. So you get the power of Flow. I can drill into this card and see all of the ways and why it appeared when it did. So Dynamics 365 is really helping in that next step in the customer journey for sales, but once you do sell that product, you want to make sure they get a great experience with customer service. So let's talk a little bit about what's coming in the Wave 2 for customer service. Customer service agents are sitting in a call center with many different ways of customers reaching out to them. So in this release, we're bringing you this great capability in balancing many different channels of incoming texts and phone calls through our capability called Omni-Channel. We worked closely with the customer BYU Pathway. BYU Pathway is a global education online company that serves over 70,000 members worldwide. And BYU Pathway wanted to be able to bring the best possible service to their customer, which is actually a student. So in this use case, I'm going to walk you through a demo of how a student would reach out and interact with BYU Pathway. So here I am in my dashboard. So I, as a customer service agent, have a lot going on. There's a lot of work that I need to do today. And it gives me everything at a quick glance of what I need to focus on, what my activities are, and what my active cases are. Now, BYU Pathway has a website that has a chatbot enabled on here. So there's live chat support. And let's say that I'm a student and I want to know when my tuition is due. I'm interacting right now with an automated bot, and it's telling me some really great information about when my tuition is due. It's giving me a link to more information from a FAQ. And yes, this is helpful. It wants to know if I need any other help. I missed the deadline for fall semester, and I need some help. What's happening now is it's telling me that an agent will be with me in a moment. And you can see that the chat request is coming in. I can accept this as an agent. And what's happening right now is it recognized who this customer was. It loaded up May Gibbs. It knew that I was the student May Gibbs. And it also loaded the chat that already happened with that bot. But instead of having to read all of that, we also give you a nice issue summary. So it summarized the entire conversation, told me the sentiment of the student, that's slightly positive, and I can also respond with quick responses. Now, when I'm chatting with this student, I can also chat with them in other ways. If I go over to Facebook, I also can interact the same exact way that I did from the website. So I can interact and say hello. And here we can see it would pop up as another channel. Here it is. And I can accept that channel and start interacting with that student as well. Now, what is most important to point out here is that this is a multi-channel session. So I can have many chats going on at the same time, as well as phone calls. So if someone is calling me on their phone, this would also pop up as an incoming request, and I can accept that and have a phone call and multiple chats going on at the same time. We are very excited to bring this to you in our Wave 2 release. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Philippe now, who's going to talk about virtual agents and how this will help that virtual chat work even better. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Linda, for that great transition. So today, I'm going to talk about our exciting new release of our Dynamics 365 Virtual Agent for customer service. So in that concept, we are bringing 3 principles to bear. Number 1, simplicity. We want to make it easy for customer service business analysts to build chatbot quickly. And we do that by using a no-code approach. Number 2, we want to bring personalization and speed. So that with that, we can offer personalized experience to your customer and making sure you have the right solution at the right time. And the third is about extensibility. And that we're basically going beyond conversational search, beyond the simple answer. We want to be able for your virtual agent to act on behalf of your customer. With those principles in mind, we've been working with TruGreen, one of our great partners today, to help them change the business and get into a different experience with the brand. 3 things we're looking at improving with TruGreen. Number 1 is reducing call handling time by operating with the virtual agent and offering a way for customers to directly engage with their solution at the right time, at the right moment. Second is about improving customer satisfaction due to an accurate and fast response to their question. And lastly, to improve employee satisfaction overall by offering the virtual agent the ability to deal with the routine task while the customer service representative can spend more time with tougher conversation with the customer, help them with more complex tasks. So let's look at the video. I'm going to show you 2 scenarios in that video. Number 1, I'm going to show you the customer experience when you go onto the TruGreen website and how easy it is for me to actually interact with that virtual agent and get things done in a quick manner. Second, we're going to look at the customer service business analyst experience where you see how easy it is for me using no code, just a very friendly UI, to change and engage my customer with a different dialogue and think about what matters most for me, which is the content and the experience. So let's do that. So now, as you can see on my website, and here I have my virtual agents nicely tucked in. And I'm going to look at one thing, So I'm Rose, and I'm looking to get some information about my account. So looking at my account, I want to know my balance. It's been a while, and just want to make sure my finances are in order. Now, the bot understands that I want to manage my account and offer me with different options for me to look into very quickly. So let's look at the account balance. Now I'm going to have another level of confirmation. For the sake of demonstration, let's use that phone number to make it easy for me. And now what the virtual agent does is actually retrieving my information in the backend system, in the ERP system of record, and retrieve that information and serve this to me, Rose, so I can know that at the moment, my current balance is $44. Now, with that, I can offer the next level of information. Typically, when customers at TruGreen ask for their balance, they also are curious about when is the next service. So as you can see now, the bot can actually give me that option. I can select what is my next day of service. Now I have another level of information, which is your service, which is going to be loan, right, will actually be done next week at 10 a.m. And on top of that, I can have additional articles, additional information I want to feed my customer or share with my customer. Personally, I like to know what happened on my lawn. When they say just do a service on my lawn, what kind of chemicals, what kind of operation are you doing on my lawn? And this is where actually you can give that additional information to your customer. Now, I'm a happy customer, so I'm going to answer yes to that question and then improve the overall CSAT. So that was the customer experience. Now let's look at the customer service business analyst point of view. And as you can see, we have a very friendly UI here where I can look into different dialogues. And now in that specific scenario, I am a customer service business analyst, and I'm troubleshooting one of the dialogue or solution I would like to put on my bot. So let's look at this one. And so please remember that I just toggle that trigger here, tracing. So they will give me the ability to actually see in real time what my bot is actually answering me in the context of the dialogue. So as you can see in green, all the things we actually hit already, and you can see what kind of bugs are you looking for, right? So here I'm going to talk about the change bug. I want a bit more information about that. Here I'm going to have to look at the answer that is giving me about the bot. So the bot actually retrieve information from TruGrade knowledge-based backend system and hand it over to me as a customer. Now I have the full information. But what's important for me as a customer? Is that to know about this bug, or is actually to take care of it? And so this is where, as a customer service specialist, I can change my dialogue. And here I have offered another option, which is now I'm open up to schedule another appointment for you. And again, the backend system will offer you the next appointment available, where your technician is going to be Peter B, and is going to be next couple of weeks from now, 2 p.m. Does that work for you? Yes, I would like that. And so now the virtual agent book the appointment for me, confirm for me, get an email confirmation to my mailbox. And now I'm fully empowered as a customer to check on bugs, get the appointment that works for me. And as a customer service business analyst, I can actually change those dialogues very easily, publish them, and change the perception of my brand on a quickly basis, few minutes only, right? So as you can see here, very easy concept to bring to bear, bringing all the complexity of backend system integration into one motion. And the extension piece here that would be interesting for us to see here is, how do we make this work? How do we make the extensibility work? The backend here relies upon our integration with Flow, Microsoft Flow. So we're able now to connect to all your backend system, all your system of record, to bring that information and truly make the virtual agent working for your customer. So I have one question before I leave you. What kind of virtual agent are you going to build today? Now hand it over to Mohammed, who's going to show you some great new apps in the operational world. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippe. Thank you, Linda. Some really amazing innovation coming out of our customer engagement apps. And we've got an equally amazing set of innovation coming in our operations apps. A little bit even more amazing, but in full transparency, I could be a little biased given my role at Microsoft. But just to remind you, in the operations space, in the operations app, we actually cover a very diverse set of operational processes that you can run on Dynamics. All the way from being able to run complex supply chain and manufacturing operations, to retail operations, to project service organizations and operations, to your horizontal and core operational processes like finance and human resources as well. We also have an app called Business Central that allows SMBs to run their operations as well on Dynamics 365. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to look at all the capabilities in all the operationals app in the few minutes that I have. We're also not going to be able to look at some of the capabilities in all the operational apps we have. So what we're only going to do is just look at some of the capabilities in some of the operational apps in the next few minutes that we have. But I would highly encourage you to look at the release plan document that actually in fairly excruciating detail lays out the innovation that we've got packed into all the operations apps for our Wave 2 2019. We're going to start our trek through the operations app in Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management, which up until about 10 days ago, alongside Dynamics 365 for Finance, was also affectionately known as Dynamics 365 for Finance and Operations, or FNO. So Supply Chain Management and Finance is what was 10 days ago known as Finance and Operations as well. But let's look at Supply Chain Management. In Supply Chain Management, we allow our customers to run end-to-end supply chain operations on Dynamics 365, all the way from product information management, to planning, to inventory and logistics, to running complex discrete process or lean manufacturing operations, to now asset management as well in Dynamics 365. So we truly provide that end-to-end supply chain management core operational processes, and we're pleased to announce that we're actually innovating across all of those supply chain pillars in our Wave 2 application release. So let's quickly take a run through what we're doing in supply chain management. We're pleased to announce that with Wave 2, we're putting our planning optimization service in preview. This essentially takes a process that historically is a multi-hour overnight process that customers run, essentially in any ERP, but also in Dynamics 365, to figure out what is the plans, the supply planning that they need to go, where, how much orders to ship, where and to what warehouse and to what locations. We're pleased to announce that with Wave 2, we have now an in-memory service that allows you to run your plans essentially in minutes, if not seconds, whenever you want to run it throughout the day. For one of our customers in Sweden, they used to run their plans overnight, and that allowed them to ship orders once a day to where they needed to send it. But with now the new planning service, they actually run the plans multiple times a day and ship the orders multiple times a day. And that allows them to be able to fulfill customer orders as much more quickly than they used to, which was once a day, as well as honestly reduce their inventory carrying costs in different locations as well, which they otherwise had to stock to make sure they can meet that customer demand. So it gives them a holistic set of benefits with the planning optimization service that we now have in preview for customers to try. On the trade and logistics side, we've made significant improvements on the inventory side. But the thing we're excited about is we've completed the integration of the IP that we acquired last year from one of our ISV solutions, one of our most popular ISV solutions in warehouse management and transportation management. And we've brought that advanced set of capabilities now for warehouse management and transportation management natively in our supply chain management application that allows our customers to now run fairly sophisticated and complex warehouse and logistics processes in Dynamics 365 supply chain management. Moving on to manufacturing, and this is really where, if you go back to what James was talking about at the beginning of the session, we're really fundamentally changing processes where we're taking processes that have historically been very reactive to now being proactive. So with sensors planted on shop floor equipment, you get real-time signals coming into Dynamics through Azure IoT Hub that allows you now to take significant amount of proactive actions on processes that historically were fairly reactive, processes like being able to manage quality on a fairly proactive basis, being able to predict downtime or machine health on what's producing and what's going through your shop floor, as well as driving automation and just data capture across your manufacturing process, if you will. This service is now in preview as well for our customers to try. The thing we're excited about with IoT Intelligence is not that you've got the sensor and the signal coming through IoT Hub to Dynamics 365, but the fact that we've allowed you to set up and consume this experience in a highly configurable way that allows you to just get up and running in literally 5 minutes if you've got the sensor hooked up to IoT Hub. And we're actually going to show you that in a few minutes on how that works. Again, in supply chain, coming back to asset management has been one of the top 3 most requested capability from our customers in Dynamics 365, and we're super pleased to announce that with our October wave, we are now putting our asset management capability, making that generally available for our customers to try and use with Dynamics 365 for supply chain. So to show the innovation we've got packed into Dynamics 365 for supply chain, I'm going to have Kevin come in here and walk you through the behind the scenes part of the video you saw when James was presenting about Mejans, who's really building some really tasty snacks, but how does IoT Intelligence really deliver significant amount of value on top of their processes? Kevin?
Sure. Thank you. Mejans, who we saw earlier, take great pride in using the finest cooking techniques. And they've applied that mindset to their production where they've taken IoT data and they've made it a proactive tool in conjunction with our new IoT Intelligence capabilities. And they span a host of different scenarios from production delays, the quality of the chips that they're cooking, through to has a machine fundamentally broken down. And in each case, we have a very simplified process of a wizard that helps connect those IoT notifications directly through to a production business process. So in my case, I've got a wizard here that I can click through the individual steps, connecting to the processes. And I can even enable an ability of time for a local machine operator to perhaps fix a machine, clear a machine, before we need to escalate further. And if we do need to escalate further, The trigger for that really is going to be from a perspective of the machine operator's view. And they're already going to be monitoring the machine. They're going to get a host of time series data. But visually, we're immediately giving them that clue that something is wrong with the red background, that they need to go and fix something. So in my case, the chip mixer stopped producing. So as a machine operator, I've got a period of time I can go and fix the machine. If I can't, I can dismiss it. And that'll get escalated up. And it'll form an escalation, in effect, as perhaps via an automated business notification through to perhaps our new asset management capability where a maintenance request has been created. Now, that maintenance request is also the trigger to really send a technician to that machine and get it fixed. But asset management goes beyond that. It's a way of helping our customers, like Magiens, manage and really improve the efficiency of their production facilities. And we can start to help drive additional sorts of insights as well. And so when I'm looking at just, say, the maintenance requests, I've got Power BI embedded directly within. And within this, I can start to look at it from a perspective of insights of data that are up here. Switch to a backup. Now, the insights of data is looking across all of my assets in terms of the data that's going to appear in just a moment, looking at across all individual asset machines through to the individual machinery. And it would have driven through an additional insight that's just kind of catching up with us at this very moment. But on the bottom right-hand corner, we can see, if I'm looking at it from a mechanical perspective, mechanics is the issue that's across everywhere. But if I was to then focus back in on the chip mixer, then electricians is the insight that it's driving through to us that we can perhaps focus in further. And all of this kind of comes together to help companies like Magiens continue to deliver the chips and the magic that's in those chips. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. A great example, again, on how we're fundamentally changing business processes from being what used to be reactive to now proactive, again, within the context of the end user, as opposed to something that really requires a significant amount of development effort or data scientists for you to kind of get the value out from an organization standpoint. While we're adding significant capability in the application, the thing that we're also hyper-focused on from a Microsoft perspective is really listening to the end users of our applications and what's the feedback that they're providing us from a productivity and an efficiency perspective. And I'm really pleased to announce 3 capabilities that we're adding in Wave 2 that really is focused on increasing the delight factor for our end users and the productivity and the efficiency on how they interact with our applications. The first one being saved views. If folks are familiar with using ERP, you're typically faced with forms that are pretty darn complex and have a lot of fields because it tries to address a lot of different industries, and it becomes super complicated for end users to either click through multiple fields or figure out where is it that they actually need to interact with the application. We're pleased to announce we've had some fairly robust personalization capabilities. But in Wave 2, we're releasing what we call saved views, where users can really take a very complicated form, save it down to exactly just what they need, and use that to really drive and increase their productivity and efficiency across the breadth of the operations app landscape, if you will. Users can do that on their own. Users can share that, as well as organizations can do that for their users and share that at scale to all of their users. The second capability, again, in the same theme of productivity and efficiency that we're bringing in, is enhanced grids, which allows you to really sort and reorder the columns to, again, what you would like. It allows you to see some grouping real time in the columns that you have, as well as it gives you an infinite scrolling experience if you're interacting with large data sets, with a lot of our large customers do. So instead of what you're used to, typically on a web browser, if you're looking at longer lists and screens, a little bit of lag as you kind of go down till it refreshes and brings back the next set of record. We now have what we call essentially infinite scrolling that allows you to interact with that data set in a highly performant fashion. And then finally, Kevin touched on it a little bit in his session, but we're continuing to enhance the analytical workspaces that are available across our operations app that allow you to both interact and explore the data, as well as using the gestures capability, allow you to go back to the specific form, the filtered form, or the form where you need to take action upon the data based on what you're seeing in your analytical workspaces as well. So a lot of focus, again, directly listening to feedback that our end users provide through our in-app survey that comes up every so frequently for our end users. We literally go through and span and read every single one of them, prioritize the themes, and then put that into the product to make it better for our end users as well. The thing, though, that I'm personally super excited about, and this is thing number 2 of what our customers, 2 out of 3 that our customers have really requested and asked of us over time, is seamless integration between our customer engagement and operations apps. And we're really pleased to announce with Wave 2, we're releasing what we call dual write capabilities that actually allows you seamless, out-of-the-box connected process experience across the set of your customer engagement apps that you saw Linda and Philippe talk about, to your operations apps to really enable that cross-process experience that otherwise historically took some amount of integration effort or implementation effort from our customers and our partners. And this really takes all of that away to provide truly an out-of-the-box experience. Because if you look at the whole of what we have from a Microsoft standpoint, there's really the breadth of application and the depth of the application kind of stands out on its own from that standpoint. So to look at this capability from the lens of one of our largest customers in New Zealand, Farmlands, let's kind of walk through how they're using it with Kevin.
Great, thank you. So Farmlands had the problem of 2 disconnected systems, and the 2 disconnected systems impacted their buyers and their sales associates across the whole company. And they've taken used dual rights, which has now an extended data model, and they've applied it from the end-to-end cycle of their business. So for instance, as a sales associate, I could start that motion of creating a new customer record within Dynamics 365 Sales. And here I've got an example of a customer on the right-hand side here called Grain Farms, and I've identified them. But I can also go that little bit further here as well, because as a sales associate, I don't want to really be managing multiple copies of my data. So I can actually take advantage of a feature where I can look into, say, the global address book that's in my back office finance system and do a check to see is the postcode or zip code, as an example, is valid. And in my case, I've actually put in a short version of one that I know is incorrect, and that's popped up that message to the sales associate to tell them that they've actually not finished typing it in. And by finishing it and typing it in, I'm now going to be able to save this new customer. And as a sales associate, great. I now know that I can go and pass information across to perhaps my credit control team and find that particular customer. And that customer is available to me in my back office Dynamics 365 Finance, which means I could be going through the motion of applying a credit limit to that customer, or importantly, perhaps associating a loyalty card to that customer record for the sales to continue in the store. But equally in tandem to all this, the buyers are continuously adding new products to the product catalog. And the product catalog will continue to evolve, and at some point they'll release it to the rest of the Salesforce. I should put a price in here. Now, as soon as I click Save here for some agricultural oil, that product is then going to be saved in my back office. I can continue releasing the information, but at the same time, it's going to then start to become available when it's appropriate for our Salesforce, who are taking orders all the time from our customers. So here I could be starting to think about the same customer that we identified against a moment ago. I added Grain Farms. They're available for me directly. So I've gone from my back office to my sales associates directly. I can now start to add the products that I've started to create. So I created a particular product earlier. I could start to go off and find my agricultural oil, and it'll appear for me. And I can add my oil to my sales order and continue that sales cycle that is occurring here. So this brings together that dual rights capability and helps companies like Farmlands really benefit from their data. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about Dynamics 365 Fraud Protection, or otherwise known as DFP. Perhaps one of our most exciting and innovative apps that we've released in our Dynamics 365 portfolio of applications. With this app, our customers tell us that we've been able to increase their revenue by somewhere between 400 to 800 basis points plus. Compared to anything else that they have either in-house or off the shelf. And that's a pretty bold statement. And we know this firsthand because we actually use this internally at Microsoft. And that's what we're bringing to the market for our customers to now benefit from. And the reason why we can feel so confident about making this claim and saying, hey, we actually can improve your top line, and who doesn't really want their top line to improve, is because in DFP, we've got world-class AI models that have been trained upon billions and billions of transactions that we've done as Microsoft over the course of our e-commerce business, which in and of itself is one of the largest e-commerce business that's out there, tens of billions of dollars. Adopt a set of signals that we get from these transactions, such as sort of unique device fingerprinting, that has allowed us, alongside relationships we have with some of the major banks and card networks, to create this consortium of data that is just in and of itself huge and highly differentiating. And DFP running atop this consortium of data, with DFP running atop the consortium of data, we feel so confident that we can really improve your top line by allowing you to reduce any wrongful rejects as the transactions happen. We can reduce your cost by rejecting the ones that you should, and taking the process overhead down as well, because there's a lot of automation you get. But frankly, and probably more importantly, improve the experience of your customers and have them, the good customers, go through a frictionless experience and not get wrongfully denied if they're trying to do a legitimate transaction on your website. So what I would highly recommend, if you're not familiar with DFP, is look at Dynamics 365 Fraud Protection. Literally every single one of our customers so far has come back and told us we've been able to have the evidence to show that we've increased their revenue by at least 400 to 800 plus basis points with the use of Dynamics 365 Fraud Protection. Switching gears, Dynamics 365 for Talent, the core HR part that allows you to run HR operations. We've had this app now in the market for about a year and a half to 2 years, and we have a set of capabilities that's in use with many customers around the world globally. And we're pleased to announce, as part of our Wave 2, that we've entered into definitive IP rights acquisition agreement with our top ISVs that brings a set of capabilities that were either missing or needed some advanced capabilities in our HR operations now to our Dynamics 365 for Talent core HR application. The 3 core things that we've heard our customers tell us over and over again is enhanced leave and absence, time and attendance, as well as advanced benefit management as well for the US market. We've acquired and we've entered into definitive agreement with our top ISVs in this space to really make those capabilities natively available for you in our service, and we'll be releasing that in our service over the course of the next 6 to 12 months. Okay, so we've already covered a lot of ground. We talked about SCM, supply chain management. We've talked about user experience improvements. We talked about the cross-process integration across operations in our customer engagement app. We talked about Dynamics 365 for fraud protection and HR. We haven't talked about Dynamics 365 Finance. We haven't talked about our project service application. We haven't talked about our Business Central application, and we're not going to talk about them. But you should go read the release notes, the release plan document as well, because it has all the details about those applications as well. But we will take a few minutes and actually now deep dive into one particular app in our operations app portfolio, and that's our retail app, and really how we are committed to really reimagining retail for our customers and helping them digitally transform themselves in a space that frankly is probably one of the most highly disrupted and highly competitive landscape in today's world, if you will. In retail, we've been in retail for a long time. We have an application today that's called Dynamics 365 for Retail that has been in market, counting its predecessor AX 2012 version as well, for many, many years now, that has thousands and thousands of global retailers that are running their in-store operations, their call center operations, and their back office retail operations on Dynamics 365 for Retail. Retailers such as UPS, Columbia Sportswear, Dr. Martens, Canada Goose, and many, many others are actually running their stores, call center, and retail operations on Dynamics 365 for Retail. What we're announcing, or what we announced literally last week, was us now getting into the e-commerce space in the retail space, if you will. This was, I talked about the 2 things that our customers have often requested from us, which was asset management, the second one being the seamless integration. This probably is the #1 most requested capability from our customers is, when is Microsoft getting into e-commerce? And we're super pleased to announce that we've taken the tech and the platform that today runs Microsoft's multi-billion-dollar e-commerce business globally across our various storefronts, productized that and brought that in a seamlessly integrated way as a Dynamics 365 application for our customers. With e-commerce now in Dynamics 365, alongside our retail capability, point of sale capabilities for physical stores, our call center capabilities, we now have a complete end-to-end omni-channel solution that really differentiates what we have just in Dynamics 365 Commerce, and we're going to call it Commerce going forward because now we've got everything packaged up in our Commerce application. We've also brought not just the tech, but the AI that we use internally at Microsoft across our storefronts, such as intelligent product recommendations that you see on our .com, as well as our Xbox app and our Windows app stores, for the benefit of our customers as part of Dynamics 365 Commerce. As if that wasn't enough, if you take all of that, put it on top of Dynamics 365 supply chain that allows you to now not just run your retail omni-channel operations, but your fulfillment operations in a seamlessly integrated way, which otherwise customers spend like months, if not years, integrating to make sure they've got like a seamless experience. That runs natively atop Dynamics 365 supply chain management, atop now integrated with customer insights that you saw Satish talk about, fraud protection that we just covered a little bit ago, omni-channel customer engagement that Linda covered, and marketing. We've got a whole solution here that truly is, we believe, in a category of one just by itself. All of that, again, proven technology. The physical in-store operations and the call center was already part of Dynamics 365. The e-commerce is what we run at Microsoft as customer #1. Highly scalable, because we're probably one of the largest retailers with tens of billions of dollars that we transact through our e-commerce platform on an annual basis. Built on Azure, highly scalable, secure and compliant, and available around the world. So while we're using it, and we've got a really compelling offering as well, we've also been working with some of the early customers who are actually now using Dynamics 365 Commerce in production soon as we announced preview of our e-commerce offering. One such customer is Chateau Ste. Michelle here in Washington. Let's look at their story on how they're using Dynamics 365 as part of the video that we've recorded with them. Can we roll the video, please?
Chateau Ste. Michelle Wineries wants to build a comprehensive commerce platform that knits together 14 distinct brands, multiple sales channels including wholesale, online, and retail. Dynamics 365 Commerce helps ensure a unified view of products across physical and digital storefronts and delivers friction-free shopping experiences for customers. Chateau Ste. Michelle is starting their transformation with one of their top brands, Col Solare. They need to transform their existing web page to deliver exceptional experiences for customers. Merchandisers are able to create and enrich the product pages and personalize customer experience with integrated capabilities like ratings and reviews, or bring relevant media like tasting notes, complimentary foods, awards, and published reviews from external sources. They're also able to preview the product prior to publishing to ensure it aligns with brand and company standards. Customers like Adriana that visit the Col Solare site are able to sign in and be greeted with a personalized page based on their preferences and loyalty status. Using intelligent and immersive search powered by Bing, Adriana can also quickly see wines she might be interested in. Predictive search can also display all relevant content affiliated with the results within the search bar. She can filter products based on all relevant attributes along with existing customer ratings and reviews. Adriana can also see all the rich content previously added along with the AI-driven recommendations based on shopper behavior both in-store and online. Adriana can find a store near her and proceed to add the wine to her cart and choose from a range of smart pay solutions. Leveraging AI-driven fraud protection capabilities, or DFP, her experience is seamless and friendly, while Chateau Ste. Michelle's operations are optimized and protected against fraud. Once completed, she receives a confirmation of purchase sent directly to her email with all relevant details available. Dynamics 365 Commerce allows Chateau Ste. Michelle to offer seamless experiences to customers that choose to buy online and pick up in-store. A store associate is notified of Adriana's purchase and can pick, pack, and get the order ready using a mobile device and the Dynamics 365 Commerce app. As the data is updated in real time, Adriana is automatically notified that her order is ready for collection. When arriving in store, the associate can log into the Dynamics 365 app and bring up Adriana's details and see a comprehensive view of her profile, including previous purchases, loyalty status, and more. Using customer insights integrated to commerce, the sales agent is also able to see additional rich information, including segments and lifetime value. He's able to suggest another wine based on a personalized recommendation. The receipt is emailed to her with rich content along with brand and marketing aligned messaging through Dynamics 365 Marketing. By unifying the experience across all channels, Chateau Ste. Michelle can derive rich information about business, customers, and product performance. Using analytics delivered through Power BI, a manager can review performance based on sales KPIs, category, channels, and look at trends across the product lifecycle to make better informed decisions. By surfacing relevant information, Chateau Ste. Michelle can ultimately improve business processes and deliver exceptional experiences for their customers.
Thank you. And as if that wasn't enough, I want to introduce Lorraine back onto the stage, and she will talk about the innovations we're driving in the retail space and how retailers are really changing the way they interact in the physical environment in their stores with their customers. Lorraine?
Thanks, Mohammed. So the shopping experience has changed immensely, and it continues to change immensely. And it's reasonable to expect now you can get anything you want from any place at any time, from any location. And that expanded customer expectation, it's way up here, and it's not going to go down again. And what this means for retailers is they have to be prepared to digitally transform their operations so that they can provide the same experience across online, mobile through a rich commerce solution like Mohammed was talking about, but also through their physical stores. Now, physical stores present this unique challenge and also an opportunity to deliver customer experience in a way you can't deliver anywhere else. So to help with that, we've introduced recently a new product called Dynamics 365 Connected Store. And we introduced this to convert some of those challenges into opportunities. And Connected Store brings data sources from across the store, from sensors, from IoT devices, from computer vision cameras. It analyzes those interactions, and then it looks at anonymous shopper behavior, and it takes all of that data together to provide real-time and aggregated actionable insights to the retailer, who can then make better operational decisions to improve customer service. So as always, the best way to really understand the benefit to a real retailer is to talk to a real retailer. And so I want to share a little bit about one of our first customers of Connected Store, Marks & Spencer, who's a UK retailer, and they're going to share their story in the video that I'd like to roll now.
Modern retail runs on modern technology. Intelligent data use is the new normal for running a business. But data isn't limited to clicks and screens. Data is all around us, if we know where to look. Observational data, the data we generate as we move through the world, can be harnessed and analyzed to inform better business decisions. Announcing Dynamics 365 Connected Store, a new application built to help retailers maximize the potential of their observational data. Using video cameras and IoT sensors, Connected Store empowers employees with tools to be more proactive and efficient. One of our early customers, Marks & Spencer, is excited to leverage Connected Store to optimize their retail operations in the UK. Recently, Connected Store was deployed at a location in the heart of London.
Well, here at Marks & Spencer, our ambition is to be a digital-first retailer, and our partnership with Microsoft is really helping us achieve that ambition.
Being a digital-first retailer isn't just about having access to great technology. It's about transforming our culture to be data-driven. The Dynamics 365 platform is equipping our colleagues with the tools they need to better serve our customers.
Connected Store gives us real-time understanding of what is happening in our store. It makes us a lot more efficient and a lot more targeted in the areas that we are working. I can use that data that is sent to me to put my colleagues in at the right moments at the right time.
The biggest impact has been on our cultural change and how we deliver technology into our stores and into the hands of our colleagues. By coupling Marks & Spencer's 134-year retail history alongside Microsoft's cutting-edge technology, we're able to give our colleagues real-time insight into how the store is operating and really focus on excellent customer service.
But we're looking to use the technology to enhance our operation and to generate more revenue. And we're really excited to be working with Microsoft so we can take advantage of this amazing opportunity.
So how does Connected Store help UK retailer Marks & Spencer and other retailers improve customer experience in the store? Well, it's by creating enduring operational improvements that are only available because of those unique data sources in those physical stores. So you can see a few examples of those here. Being able to provide benefits like scheduling optimization in store for staff based on footfall prediction, that's data you can only get in the store. Or being able to prevent loss based on understanding where products are at any time and movement through zones. Those types of benefits are only available through physical store data, and it can incredibly help retailers improve that customer experience in the store. So let's take a look now at how Connected Store actually functions really quickly. So Connected Store is bringing those data sources in from sensors, IoT devices, and computer vision cameras. And then it provides intelligent AI at the edge so that it can provide real-time alerts to a store employee about where customers might need more help or to improve a long queue at the register. But it also provides aggregated data and reports to store managers who can review that information later and make better decisions about the next day, the next week, and start to forecast shopper behavior. So let's take a look at, for Marks & Spencer, how does that data start to add up and accumulate incredible rich value over time and enable them to predict? Well, in one day alone, as we've heard from them since they deployed, they already started to understand their busy periods of the day. And then in a week's worth of data, they start to understand differences between weekdays and weekend behavior, and they want to assort different products for different days of the week. And then a month's worth of data, guess what? They start to understand what happens on Tuesdays, because there are certain things that happen in that neighborhood on Tuesdays that they want to prepare for. And then once they have a year's worth of data, of course, you're starting to see incredibly rich seasonality information. And then over time, as they start to accumulate more and more data about physical store operations and customer shopper behavior, they can start to pull in other data sources from the Microsoft Graph, from Bing, understanding calendar, understanding local events, understanding weather. And that's going to enable them, through using Connected Store, to really transform, digitize their operations, and deliver that customer experience in store to match their incredible online shopping experience. So I'd like to remind everyone that this is possible because of this rich Power Platform that Connected Store is built on and with. And to go deeper into the Power Platform, I'd like to welcome on stage Charles Lamanna.
Thank you, Lorraine. For this next section, we're going to be talking about the Microsoft Power Platform. The Microsoft Power Platform has 3 core products included inside of it. It's Power BI, which makes it easy to go analyze and get intelligence from your existing business data. It's Power Apps, which makes it straightforward to create web and mobile applications without having to write any code. And Microsoft Flow makes it very easy to go automate tasks without having to add any code or actually sign up a developer to go take any actions. Altogether, the Power Platform is a single low-code experience, so everybody, from the user in the business all the way to IT and pro devs, can build and develop much more quickly inside of their business. And supporting all of these products is the Common Data Service. It's the center of all your business data. It makes it very easy and very straightforward, so you can actually securely access all your information with the right security and with the right connections to the rest of your business. It also includes AI Builder, which with just simple configuration and no data science, you can go provide AI to your business processes just in a natural integrated fashion. And lastly, the data connectors, which make it possible to connect to all of your data across your entire enterprise without expensive integration or complex ETL. And all of this Power Platform together has just outstanding momentum right now in the market. We have over 3 million monthly active developers on the Power Platform. We've increased 700% for production Power Apps in the last year. The 300% growth in the Power Apps monthly active users. We have over 25 million data models for Power BI, with over 95% of the Fortune 500 using it to analyze their data and get more from it. And lastly, Flow has over 25 billion automated steps running each and every day. And all of this momentum is just enabled by the connected and cohesive capabilities of the Power Platform to deliver transformation as easy and as quickly as you can configure any other SaaS application. And to go continue to innovate in this space, we have several very important and very large announcements for Power Apps today. AI Builder is now generally available, so you can easily understand forms, classify text, make predictions on the Common Data Service, and detect objects and images off of mobile devices, all without having to write any code. Additionally, we have Power Apps portals, which now makes it easy for end users outside of your company, so your customers and your partners, to access the same data and same application experiences that you're used to from Power Apps. This was the #1 requested feature on our community website. And lastly, we have a whole host of new component capabilities which work across all application types. Whether it's Canvas or model-driven, you can build reusable components with no code or professional developer code very easily. Similarly, for Microsoft Flow, we've announced AI Builder is tightly integrated, so you can go understand those forms and do data classification and leverage AI in your business processes and automations. We also have hundreds of new Flow checker rules to make it easier than ever to understand how to build the best possible automation to explain complex concepts like loops, as well as potential errors or default values. And lastly, a bunch of new additions to Flow in the authoring experience. Things like geofencing, as well as improved co-authoring or business process creation on mobile devices. All of it is enabled with the October Wave 2 release and available for you to try out today. And a core part of all of these updates is making it accessible for developers. So we talk about the Power Platform to make it easy for business users or citizen developers, but also professional developers play an important role. In the case of Power Apps Component Framework, it's now possible to use JavaScript or TypeScript in Visual Studio or VS Code to go create custom web experiences that work across those web and mobile applications you know in Power Apps. And we already have over 1,000 controls visible on our community site that have been published and posted by professional developers. Additionally, we have the Power Apps Command Line Interface, or CLI, which make it possible to use source control to develop your application and solution, to use continuous integration, continuous deployment, to go deploy your updates to production, so you can run the most mission-critical, enterprise-grade applications on top of Power Apps. And all of this is part of a much bigger story for Power Platform. It's not just about the low-code tools like Power BI, Power Apps, and Flow. It's also about Azure and Visual Studio and VS Code and Azure DevOps supporting it. Whether it be things like Azure API Management or all the rich Azure AI capabilities, you can go dock into that right from the Power Platform without having to leave the confines of that low-code environment. If your data is already stored in Azure Data Lake, SQL Data Warehouse, or Azure SQL or Cosmos DB, it's all available right at your fingertips inside the application development environment. And this story of having no cliffs and no limits, to start with no code all the way to being code first, is one of the most unique aspects of the Power Platform, is one of the biggest updates that you'll see in the October or Wave 2 release. And one of the best ways to go show these capabilities in action is with a customer demo. So in the case of Team Rubicon, they are a volunteer-based organization which works with first responders and veterans to go respond to natural disasters or other issues. And what's amazing is they have a public website where anyone can go and actually read up on their process. And they've used this website to grow from 8 volunteers just 10 years ago to over 100,000 volunteers today. And one of the big problems for these volunteers is actually tracking what they know, what their skills are, how can they best help in the event of a disaster. And to do that, they actually built this website. I can go see I have a profile registered on Team Rubicon. I can go say skills and experience, click through and see what I've actually signed up or certified that I know how to do in the past. And they can use this to respond to an issue, to deploy the right people at the right time. And say I want to go create a new skill, I can go just say click through here, you get the standard form, but that's not super interesting. One of the great things that they did is they actually made it possible so I can upload a certificate, say from FEMA. We have a form right here. I can upload this certificate and associate it with one of my skills, this will automatically be understood by the backend and registered in their system, instead of having to go type in all that information and also go submit proof that I actually have that capability. So this is all wired up naturally, and if you look at this, you may think this has to be a process that has professional developers involved, but it doesn't. It actually was able to be built entirely with the Power Platform. And one of the core components of that is that Power Apps Portals, which is now generally available. We can see we have a nice visual designer in the studio, which is just what everybody already knows from the Power Platform. We can see I have a whole bunch of components available to me to go add to the page with drag and drop. In this case, I want to just add a list. And what a list is just a collection of data I already have in the Common Data Service. And I can go connect to all the same entities and views I already have configured in my Dynamics instance or my Power Apps and CDS instance. In this case, I've chosen the skill entity and the active skills view. I can toggle whether or not I want to allow people to create new records on that screen. I can also go toggle a whole bunch of other capabilities. And what that does is, on this profile page, instead of having to go drill down, I can actually now see the information right here. I can see the skills I've registered in the past right while I see my individual profile. So less clicks, or an easier process. But one of the more impressive things is how do they actually convert one of these certificates to the data inside the Common Data Service? And for that, they use AI Builder. We have AI Builder with a capability called Forms Processing, where all you have to do is just upload a small number of documents, and we'll automatically generate an AI model for you that will understand and take the values, extract it out of that document. And it's much more than OCR. It actually uses advanced technology from Bing to really understand the text instead of just extracting the text. And as an example, I've already uploaded five FEMA documents. This is in the AI Builder tutorial experience. And I just say click Next. And what happens is I actually get a view like this, where we can see the AI has already identified, it's Jeff Hay, that's the name in the certificate. Here's the actual certification that was created. Here's the date and so on. And all of this is just extracted in a structured form without a human and without a data scientist. And this type of AI capability starts to really transform business processes, particularly if you can drop it in without having to write code or get a data scientist. And the way you act on this AI, because AI in the abstract isn't very valuable, is with Microsoft Flow. So what they've configured is a Microsoft Flow that whenever a certificate is uploaded, if there's a actual file attached to it, they'll run through these steps to use AI Builder to go understand that file, to use that model that I just configured by uploading files. I'll look up information like what are the skill details from the Common Data Service, as well as go validate against the name on the certificate versus the profile already stored with Team Rubicon. And what this allows me to do is automatically validate or approve these skills without having to get a human involved or invalidate them if the certificate doesn't match the user. And all of these capabilities together are just wired up in a single platform with a single security model and without having to write any code. And Team Rubicon, of course, is cares a lot about giving back to the nonprofit community. So what they actually did is they took their solution and they worked with Microsoft. They partnered with us to go create the nonprofit accelerator for the Common Data model. And this accelerator is available for free with no additional charge to all of our customers to go help them get moving faster on the Power Platform without having to pay any additional cost and to get the expertise that they already have from managing all these different volunteers, over 100,000 on their system. And for this part, we talked about Power Apps, AI Builder, Microsoft Flow, and Common Data Service, but there's one other key component of the Power Platform, and that's Power BI. So for that section, I'm going to turn it over to Arun, who will go dive deep on the new updates that we have.
Thanks so much, Charles. So the final product we're going to talk about today is Power BI. As we know today, in today's world, data is coming from pretty much everywhere. Not just transactional systems of record, but systems of observation. Product telemetry, IoT devices, human interactions. Our goal in Power BI is to help every customer harness the power of all of that data and drive a data culture where every employee in the organization is making better decisions based on data. What we've done in the 2019 Wave 2 is delivered a ton of innovative new capabilities that help our customers do just that. I'm going to talk about 4 of those capabilities today. The first is a brand new service experience for end users that make it even easier for them to get insights from data and bring all of the analytics content into a single location. The second is a new experience for creators in Power BI Desktop that takes a lot of the concepts from PowerPoint and Office, so it makes it very easy for them to learn. The third is a set of capabilities for IT administrators that help them certify data and track the lineage of all the assets in Power BI so they know that everybody in the organization is using the single source of truth. And finally, a significantly revamped experience for Q&A so that end users can interact with Power BI just using the English language and get insights delivered to them. One of the customers that we've been working very closely with is Veolia UK and Ireland. Veolia is a leader in environmental solutions. They provide their customers with water, waste, and energy management solutions. And they help their customers reduce their carbon footprint. They have over 150,000 employees from around the world, and we've been working with them to help over 100,000 businesses and millions of residential customers reduce their carbon footprint. So let me show you how Veolia uses Power BI. So to get started, as a Veolia user, I start with my Power BI home experience. And you can see that this is where they get all of their analytical content brought to them. So you can see some of the KPIs I'm interested in. You can see some of my frequently used reports and dashboards, as well as my favorites. So in 2019 Wave 2, we've made it easy for Veolia to be able to tailor the experience in Power BI so that it takes on their branding, it takes on their colors, and so that their end users feel right at home. For this demo, I'm going to go into their commercial analytics reports. And what you're going to see here is the analytics for a single customer in the UK, and it helps track how they're doing from a waste management perspective. The three areas that I'm really interested in is one is what's the diversion rate by month. So this shows you, what percentage of their waste is diverted to recycling facilities, etc. It's going up, and that's a good thing. The second is the recycling percentage by month. It's generally been going up, which is a good thing. They had a drop in September. And lastly, the total weight of their wastage that they're actually sending out from their different sites. And you generally see that this is tracking down, which is also a good thing. One thing I wanted to show you is that there's a significant drop in September in terms of the total wastage going down. One of the capabilities that we provide in Power BI is the ability for the customer to simply go in and say, hey, analyze this data for me and explain what drove the decrease. And when you do that, you can see that Power BI analyzes the data model, it looks for insights using sophisticated AI algorithms, and it actually produces insights on what drove the decrease. So you can see here that the decrease was pretty much driven by non-hazardous industrial waste, which is a good thing because this waste would have otherwise gone to a landfill. What we've done in this semester is not just made it easy for them to get to their reports and dashboards, but bring a lot of the analytics content from around the organization into that report. For example, you can have, Veolia can include the documentation right here, which is a Word document that tells the end users how to use this analytical and reporting application. It's just integrated into their Power BI experience. Customers often have quarterly reviews or monthly reviews of their business process. You can bring that content directly into Power BI, and you can have the end users understand exactly where the business was, and you can see a PowerPoint, a presentation on the last business review, again integrated into the analytics experience. You can also get feedback from the end users with Microsoft Forms or Forms Pro, where they can tell Veolia how they can improve the state of the analytics. And lastly, you can even take tutorials for Power BI. So if end users new to Power BI, you can get a YouTube video just embedded in, so somebody who's not familiar with Power BI can actually end up learning how to use the product. So you can see how we've made experiences really simple for users to get the insights they need, but bring a lot of the analytics content together. Now I'm going to go a little bit underneath the hood and show you how the capabilities that we've provided for creators and IT administrators that make it easy for them to build these great reports and dashboards. In order to be able to do that, I'm going to step into this view that is available for IT administrators. So what you see here is we've provided comprehensive lineage where an IT administrator can come into Power BI and they can see all the different data sources they're getting data from: SQL servers, text CSV files, OData sources. You can see which data sets these feed into, which reports, and which dashboards. By clicking on any one of these tiles, you can see the comprehensive lineage for that particular asset. You can see where the data comes from, you can see where the data goes through. So it really helps end users and IT administrators understand how people are using the single source of truth. If I scroll up, you'll notice that one of these data sets has a little badge right next to it. And this is because it's a certified data set. This is a capability that we have provided for IT administrators to be able to certify the single source of truth and ensure that it's used consistently across the enterprise. And I can click into this certified data set and I can see its lineage. So I can say, hey, where did this data come from and how it was put together? So now that Veolia has all the data in exactly the right shape, let me show you some of the new experiences we have in Power BI Desktop that improve the authoring experience. So here I'm going to go into Power BI Desktop and I'm working on a report here. And you'll notice that we have a fresh new experience in Power BI Desktop that borrows from a lot of the themes that users are already familiar with in Office. Let me just show you some small examples. For example, if I take this visual and move it around, you'll notice that these little red grid lines appear, which is something that we picked up from PowerPoint. We're really trying to make Power BI Desktop the PowerPoint for data so that everybody who's familiar with PowerPoint is instantly productive within Power BI. Another concept that we borrowed from PowerPoint is the ability to group objects together, right? So if I go in and I select these two visuals, I can just right-click, and just like I do in PowerPoint, I can group them together. And once they group together, they move together, they can be resized together, so it makes it very easy for end users to be able to work with that. One of the things I wanted to draw your attention to is the new ribbon experience. So for those who are familiar with Office, this new ribbon experience looks exactly like what they used to with Office. And the reason it looks so familiar is because it's exactly the same ribbon. And the reason we've done that is to make it easy for end users to be able to borrow again from the concepts that they're familiar with in PowerPoint. So I can quickly go ahead and change the themes, for example, and you can see, just like it does in PowerPoint, they can change the theme for this whole report. The last thing I wanted to show you is some of the new experiences that we have released with, or we're releasing next week with Q&A. The ability for end users to simply ask questions in English. What you'll see here is we've added a new visual. It's the Q&A visual, and I can bring it directly onto the Power BI canvas. And when I do that, you can see that it shows me a bunch of suggested questions right off the bat that Power BI automatically generated by analyzing the report and the data model. For example, if I click on this one, the end user can say, hey, what's the average weight by final destination? It's right there. I can also type questions in free form. So when I type a new question, Power BI analyzes the question and goes ahead and tries to give me the answer that I'm looking for. So if I'm looking at the diversion rates by site, you can quickly see that Power BI created a graph that showed me the diversion rates for the different sites. And if I click on each of these diversion rates, Power BI cross-filters the rest of the data in the report so I can see how they're doing from a wastage management perspective. Let me try another question. So I'm going to try another question here. And if I try to understand the total spend by place, you'll notice that Power BI actually did not understand place because it marked it with a red arrow. And the reason it did that is because it didn't really understand what the end user meant by place. It's not something that's in the data model. However, it did interpret the question correctly. It said, hey, most likely the user is trying to understand what the total spend is by site. And the reason we've been able to do that is because we have integrated the Office thesaurus so that everything that's a synonym in the Office thesaurus is already and naturally understood by Power BI. Another example I wanted to show you is the ability for Power BI to be able to understand adjectives that it may not have an existing definition for. So I started off by saying, hey, show me the recycling rate by critical sites. Now, Power BI understood that critical is an adjective. However, it does not understand what critical means. It's undefined in the data model, and there's no real synonym that it can use to be able to decipher it. So here, I can go ahead and just simply use the tooling to go ahead and teach Q&A what critical means. So if I go here, you can see that critical is not understood. I hit submit. And now it tells me to teach Power BI what critical means. So I'm going to go ahead and describe critical, which is sites that have a lot of wastage. And when I hit enter, you will see that, hey, this particular definition, weight that's greater than 20,000 pounds, is applied, and you can see that result. So when I hit save and I hit OK, you will see that this particular definition is now applied to the data model, and now Power BI understands the definition of critical. It's no longer marked in red. So that's what I had to show you for the 2019 Wave 2. Amazing new capabilities for end users that bring all of the analytics content together, new experiences for creators and IT administrators, and a brand new Q&A experience. So with that, let me bring James right back. Thank you.
Thank you, Arun, and thanks everyone for joining us today. Believe it or not, we covered less than 15% of the new capabilities in this release wave, even though we went 15 minutes long. So if you haven't checked out the release notes, please go do that. It's comprehensive, lots and lots of good stuff in here. Until next time, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you in April.